I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Lavi.
And Salty and Chip.
If you're a new patron, forget patron. Forget I even said that. New subscriber. Shout out to you. We've had a bunch of new subscribers over the last week and a half. So just want to say what's up. Thank you for joining the family. Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. If you want to get on the village, talk to us. Some people will message us and say, hey, I don't know if this is a real Vin and Sori, blah, blah, blah. If you're in Facebook.com/Vin and Sori, it's us.
It's the real us.
For real, for real. And I do my best to try to talk to everybody that messages us, so does Sori. But, as you can imagine, we've got quite a few people messaging us, not to sound self-serving. So if I don't get to you, it's not because I don't care. It's not because, you know, what you have to say is not important.
Right.
It's because
there's just a lot.
I'm literally communicating on 9 different channels.
Right.
You know, Instagram, Facebook. We've got 3 email addresses for various different things. So
Patreon also.
We've got our patrons, and we've got Instagram. We've got Twitter has a messenger. Every application now has a messenger. So, so that's why. It's not because you're not important to us. Okay. Which you guys already know that. I mean, you guys know we have about 57,000 subs, so you can imagine it'd be difficult to respond to everybody all the time. However, this is a band that I've never heard before.
It looks like they're pretty new. Can you see on there when this came out?
Stranger Fruit.
Yeah, like doesn't it usually have a year?
2018.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this is very new.
I've been hearing a lot of people Zeal and Ardor, Zeal and Ardor, Zeal and Ardor.
So.
So I don't know much about this band. I don't know what genre of metal they are.
Well, we'll find out.
So it should be interesting. Zeal and Ardor with Stranger Fruit from the album Stranger Fruit. Song title. All right, let's do
ready?
It. Go!
Saw the shoot, but we tend to the rose. Stranger fruit is the plant of the well, flesh so bitter it pick itself.
Got holes in the flesh, but it ain't gonna spoil, 'cause the
sound is nerve-wracking.
It's a spooky song.
Yeah. What's it about?
It's about stranger fruit, obviously.
What the hell is stranger fruit, babe?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And the sound of the voice.
Yeah, that was disconcerting.
Yeah, what is it about? Do you understand any of it?
I think I put my thingy on backwards.
You know what? I noticed that it can't really be backwards. I kept flipping it, and it's all the same. I'm gonna add another circle to it so then it'll lay flat, but it's just because it's on edge like that. So there's no way to. You just gotta hold it there.
There must be some way to blame you for it.
No, not really, but I can fix it.
Stranger fruit, how it grows and grows. We all saw the shoot, but we tend to the rose.
I have no clue what any of this means.
Might be about human nature.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a concept record. Intro, Gravedigger's Chant, Servants, Don't You Dare, Fire of Motion.
I would listen to a full CD of this.
Of these guys?
Yeah. I feel like you just sit back and just listen to it and, I don't know, you journey somewhere. Somewhere maybe scary, I don't know.
Yeah, they're very interesting. So the first song is called the Gravedigger Chant.
This is new.
What?
You seem like you don't really know like what's going on.
Well, I have a theory, but I got the theory like right from the beginning of the.
Well,
there is this movie called Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
And in Birth of a Nation,
that's that one you went to go see.
Yeah. Nat Turner.
Yeah.
And it was about the slave revolt and all that. Well, at the end of the song, the title song was about trees and fruits and all that.
Okay.
Well, it was really about lynching because they were hanging off the tree, so the fruit of the tree was these bodies swinging from the ropes.
Okay.
So that was prejudicing my interpretation of what they meant from this song. Stranger fruit, because you know it's like fruit hanging from a tree. It's strange because it's people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So then I look at it and I go, stranger fruit, how it grows and grows, we all saw the shoot but tend to the rose. Mm-hmm. Meaning, you know how I always say there's root problems and then there's fruit problems?
Yeah.
The fruit of the issue is like it's the end. It's the tip of the iceberg. It's not the real issue.
Right.
So I'm looking at it like this person, you know, did something to themselves, and then, you know, everybody's kind of looking and thinking back and saying, you know how when you lose somebody in that way, you always think to yourself like we saw this coming, but we didn't address it in time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like
for sure.
we saw the shoot, but we only tended to the rose, like the outside of the person. We didn't really deal with the inner stuff because.
Well, the rose is beautiful. Like they're only focusing on like not the troubled side of a person, but only on the good side.
Right, only what you wanted to see.
Yeah.
So, that's. So anyway, I forgot the name of the song. It was at the end of Birth of a Nation. I'll probably look for the soundtrack or something like that. But if that's what happened, if they got, you know, if the person hung themselves or whatever, or, you know, I don't know, is the lead singer black? Isn't that,
he looked like he was black when I saw his face. I mean, he's not mad dark, but he looked like he wasn't white.
Alright, so anyway, Stranger Flute is a... So that was prejudicing my interpretation of the entire song.
Well, okay, well then how do you look? Here he is. Here's his picture, I'll put it in there for you guys.
Well, I mean, there it is.
He doesn't look...
He's a brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at it from that interpretation, it can be about human nature.
Okay.
Meaning, like, here's all these people getting killed, but then you have all this, you know, depending on which culture you're part of, there's almost this nostalgia for the olden days. You know, so that's the rose.
Okay.
Ooh, it was all pretty, but then the inside of it was rotten and nasty and terrible. Stranger fruit is a plant of the well. The flesh is so bitter it picks itself. Stranger fruit with a beckoning call from the crown to the root. This tree won't fall. Stranger fruit got holes in the flesh, but it ain't gonna spoil because it was never fresh. Just seems to me about human nature.
Okay.
Like the trees.
So the stranger fruit is not. So you're saying it's not the lynching. You're saying that this is talking about human nature all around.
Well, no, I'm saying that the fruit of the people being lynched comes from human nature. That human nature creates these types of situations where people
somebody
do
would be in that
evil
situation.
shit to one another.
Yeah.
Evil shit to one another.
Okay.
The tree won't fall, meaning there's always going to be a way for people to express their evil intent toward other people.
Yeah.
Holes in the flesh, but it ain't going to spoil because it was never fresh.
Oh, wow. Okay. So from crown to the root, this tree won't fall. What you're saying is that you could even cut off the fruit, but the tree itself is always going to be there, so it's always going to keep coming back.
Yeah, it's human nature.
Right.
So how can you eradicate human nature?
Right.
Got holes in the flesh, it ain't gonna spoil. It was never fresh. Meaning, how can you spoil something that was already corrupt? There's a storm out there. There's a storm out there. Ain't no shelter for us. They're out there looking for you. So I mean, it sounds like, you're being chased.
Yeah.
By people who
had that sound.
Who want to string you up on a tree or whatever.
Jeez.
But I don't think that it's. I don't think it's specifically the racial issue. It just seems to me to be about human nature. And how, depending on where you are in history and where you are geographically, you end up being the hunted.
Yeah.
Or the hunter.
Yeah.
There's a storm out there. They're out somewhere. So the people are the storm. Because look, the first two, there's a storm out there, there's a storm out there. Then it says they are out somewhere, there's a storm out there. So.
And you're interpreting the they are as the people that are chasing.
Well, what I'm saying is the storm is the people.
Yeah, I know, because you're interpreting it that way.
Because I think the third line in that stanza makes it clear that the storm is the people themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there ain't no shelter for us. There ain't no shelter for us. There's no, there's no way you can run from. Because imagine if there's a storm, the first thing you want to do is run into a shelter. Well, there's a storm and there's no shelter because the people that you go into a shelter with are people.
Right.
So if the people of the storm, then there's no way you can take shelter.
Right.
Because you're going to be sheltered around other people. That's why I think it's like human nature, because if it was like a specific group of people coming after another specific group of people, there is a way that you can have shelter. Because you just get away from the bad people.
Right.
But if everybody's bad, then you have no shelter.
Oh, wow, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Chicago.
Right.
It's like the situation where it's like, oh, you complain about police brutality and all that shit, and you try to say that it's white cops who are the bad guys. Well, fucking go in Chicago. Hang out in downtown Chicago and see how long you last as a black person. There's no shelter.
It's real bad?
Well, yeah, they're killing people like in fucking record numbers.
That's
like
still happening?
Chicago?
Yeah.
Last week there were like 9 people dead in a week. Chicago's insane.
Oh my gosh.
Chicago's crazy. People getting murked daily in Chicago. Daily. So it's like...
Not just the Windy City?
Huh?
It's not just the Windy City? What, isn't Chicago supposed to be like the Windy City?
Yeah. But like there's a major crisis right now. Like,
I didn't realize that. But you know how I am.
Well, we've talked about it a lot of times.
Yeah, but I thought that was going... I thought that they got the things figured out. That it wasn't... I thought that this... Because I remember when back when Obama was in there, people were like... saying, because was he not saying much about it, or what?
Oh no,
he was talking about that, but he wasn't talking about other things.
No, he was talking about it, and he was. But people were saying about Chicago. Look, you've got very strict gun laws there.
Oh.
So you get the state with all these strict fucking gun laws, and then
still dying.
They're like the highest gun death in America. It's a war zone over there. Little kids get killed. I mean, these guys are shooting all over the place. They don't know how to shoot. They don't understand ballistics.
Oh my word! Oh my word!
Yeah, it's crazy. And Elio Mike was in the chat one time. He was talking about how Chicago has these mega strict gun laws, but you know, they don't convict the criminals. Like, they'll bring them in and they won't convict. They'll drop them. I don't know. It's all. I have my theories, but it wouldn't be right of me to say anything about it. But
probably no.
But yeah, there's so it's like, oh, okay, all these white cops, they're the problem. Yeah, I'll take my chances with the cop than going to Chicago, downtown Chicago. You know, it's like I said, like in our school, we had like 2 white kids in the school. Everybody left them alone.
Yeah.
We were just all like coming after each other, you know. And I understand there's socio-psychological, economic reasons. My point isn't about race. My point, this is a thing that like people, because people get so triggered so quickly about different things, they're not seeing the point that I'm making here. Because I agree with the song. I think it's human nature. So if I say like atheists have their jihadists and now, you know, Stephen Nealis was like, oh, you know, Christians keep coming after pagans and they kill pagans. Well, has that happened in human history? Absolutely. Have pagans also killed Christians? Yes. Read the first 3 centuries of Christianity.
Yeah.
Oh, Muslims are violent. Okay, well, have pagans killed Muslims? Yes. Read the first inception of Islam in the pagan city of Mecca and see how how they were treated. You know, so like everybody wants to put it on one group of people. Say the storm is out there.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, we are just these nice, docile people. You see it everywhere. You get black people. Oh, it's white people's fault. It's, you know, in Farrakhan. Oh, it's the white devil. And then it's like, you know, religious people, you know, it's these godless atheists, and then the atheists, oh, it's these religious people. Religion has been responsible, and nobody wants to just, like, we can never get to the point in a conversation, and this is demonstrated. Go check out the Firesides. You never get to the point in a conversation where it's human nature. You know, like we were watching that thing with the black Israelite dude versus the little kid, and it was hilarious. But the black Israelite guy was like, you're not my brother because your descendants sold my descendants into slavery. Because there are a lot of Africans that took part in the slave trade. You know, and sold other Africans into the hands of the white devil.
That's crazy.
So it's like, all these groups, they always want to try to act like the storm is out there. Right. Like it's them. And then if everybody was just like us with our belief system, everybody would be okay.
The Africans were were selling other Africans? Who were they selling?
Yeah, well, I mean, Africa is a massive continent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know.
So, like, there's tons of countries in Africa. So not every single African was traded, was enslaved.
How does...
So you had certain African nations that were enslaving other African nations because they were repressing them before the white man showed up.
So how does anybody know? Oh, because of the tribes? Because he asked the kid which tribe he was from?
Well, no, his parents were from Ghana. Yeah. And so, you know, for the most part, they were not affected by the slave trade. So, you know, black Israelite theology, I don't want to get into it much, but the point is, like, you have all these belief systems where they think that their particular group...
Not realizing that, yeah.
So you can never get to the root issue, which is, the root issue is human nature. And you can't, it's not going to spoil because it was never fresh in the sense of, this is human nature. Right. We do this shit to each other. Right. I don't care what your belief or non-belief system is. We do this to each other. And, you know, it's happening now. We got 50 million. We were just watching the Miracle of Life thing or whatever yesterday, and like the journey of a sperm to fertilize an egg is unbelievable. Yeah. It was insane. Like how, what are the odds, you know? And
it has to go through so much to be able to even fertilize an egg.
Yeah, yeah, and then nope, crunch, like you're out. Yeah. Okay. And it was interesting listening to this biologist, because that was his field where he was talking about fertility, and he was talking about that moment, and he had no and this is a guy who dedicated his entire life to the field. He had no qualms about saying this is a brand new organism. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you know. Yeah. Because like I said, science isn't about the moral questions. It's about just plain observation. Yeah. So you know, it's our job to tease out the moral and ethical implications. His job is just to say, well, yeah, I mean, you know, here you go. It's a new organism. It behaves like an organism.
Right.
Right. So, but it's like people are so busy accusing each other of stuff that they don't understand. Like, this is human nature.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's very, very interesting. And so it's got this like paranoid feeling to it.
It does.
And that
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty disconcerting. God almighty.
I always think it's funny when you say that word.
What, disconcerting?
Disconcerting.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty, you know, I mean, if you've ever been on the bad end of human hunting, it's a very interesting feeling.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I've never felt that. I mean, I've felt that when I'm out running and a vehicle follows me. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
You know, having to, you know, go into some place or head into the woods or, you know what I mean, different things like that. Like, I know that feel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty there's this short story. It's a pretty terrifying but classic short story. I had to read it in high school. It was called I think it was called A Game. And it was about this guy who was he would go hunt animals.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like for fun, for sport.
Yeah. And
so like there was this rich dude who advertised, you know, like the ultimate game or whatever. And so you'd go to this island and he'd give you a good time or whatever, and it you know, you'd sit and eat with him.
You were hunting people?
And talk to him. No, you weren't hunting people. So the guy that owned the island, you'd come and, come to the greatest hunt of your life and blah, blah, blah. And then you'd sit there and you were eating food with him and he's like, all right, tomorrow we start the hunt. And you know, it's all fun and all this. And then it turns out that he's hunting you.
No.
Yeah, he basically says, here you go, here are your coordinates, get out of here. If you don't leave right now, I'll kill you.
What?
And then you know, you go out there and you try to survive, and this guy's like hunting you. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the guy was like the author was like this big animal rights guy, and he was like, you know, oh, so when it's a human you don't like it, but you know, it's okay to go poach it.
My word.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a pretty paranoid feeling when you're in a situation where.
Did they make a movie out of that?
I don't think they did. They probably should. They probably should.
Yeah.
They probably have. They must have, because it's a pretty famous and brilliant short story.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary.
It's pretty fucking terrifying.
Yeah. So did they pay? People paid to go there?
Oh, yeah, you paid the guy and all
this? So you
this.
paid the guy for him to hunt you.
Yeah, and he was basically like 50-0. Like, he basically said, "I've killed everybody that's come here. You're not gonna."
So obviously one guy survives, right?
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Oh, sorry, that's a spoiler.
It's a crazy interesting feeling. Like in certain you know, in the military and other you know, they've got this thing called SEER skill, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. Okay. And they drop you in the woods and you're supposed to survive and all this and live off the land and all this and evade escape and evade capture.
Yeah.
But the game is designed. It's designed that you're gonna be captured.
Oh really?
Right, so it's survival. You're surviving on the land. You evade, and then you're supposed to. They teach you how to deal with. Well, you're a POW.
Yeah.
So they call it resistance. It's basically just a psychological game because you're not resisting anything, and they tell you how to.
Oh my gosh! See, I wouldn't be any good in a situation like that. Like, well, first of all, if it was the training, then I'd be like, oh well, this isn't real.
Yeah,
and if I was actually in the situation,
you think that, but it's not like that. You don't. People like flip out. Navy SEAL flip out. Dudes that like get through buds no problem. Like lose their fucking minds in that thing. So you think that, but it's not like that.
No, I'm saying I might be able to. Let's say I did all the training to be able to go through that program. I still think if I was in the actual situation, I wouldn't be able to handle it well.
Oh.
Because there's a difference between knowing that somebody could do something psychotically dangerous to you because you've been caught, rather than this is part of a training. Like, I'm sure the training is, like, I saw that one guy, he was talking about it, and he was like, you know, I've been waterboarded and stuff like that. And the other guy was like, yeah, but you knew the whole time that you were being like, you knew that it wasn't like, they weren't whatever,
people
you know?
Hated you
people that hated you, yeah. Yeah, when I think about the Jews and them going through those, like, I'm not joking you, every single time that I'm, like, in a room with a doctor, I always think to myself, what if this doctor was evil? What if they were here to hurt me rather than help me? Yeah. Like, how terrifying that would be.
What's wrong?
And even in that show last night, when you saw that, like, they put that girl in that room and then they kept giving her more and more drugs to, oh, Lord. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But human nature, like, it's, like, I bet you a lot of the people that did these horrible, terrible things, if you saw them outside of that horrible environment and you saw them at home with their family or out to eat at a dinner, you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah.
They just look like a regular person.
Yeah. It's true. That's why I talk about Kristallnacht. It's so fascinating to me. You get these regular Germans who are just, you know, whatever. And then, boom.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't take a lot. Doesn't take a lot. So
I mean, at this point in our country, like, abortion is okay. Like, people, you know, people pretty much say that it's okay. I mean, there are doctors, they call themselves a doctor, who are performing these,
right,
you know, tearing apart these children, and, like, these look like regular people, and, like, a lot of people would think, oh yeah, it's just like a job, but eventually we're going to come out of this mindset and we're going to be like, what, we were killing our own children, like,
yeah, like
tearing them limb from limb, and
heartbeats and all that,
poisoning and that, and all this stuff like that. Like, when we come out of that mindset, people are going to be like, you know, those doctors, they just sat at a regular table, they had families,
and then that generation will probably be systematically killing old people.
Probably.
And then they'll point at this generation and talk shit.
Yeah.
Them.
Yeah.
They. Just like we talk shit about the previous generation with slavery, or we talk shit about German culture.
Well, that's why that self-awareness is so important.
Yeah, it's self-awareness. It's like, oh, it's always them.
Yeah.
It's never us. Ever. It's pretty crazy.
If you've had an abortion, God can forgive you for that, and also help you work through the difficulties involved. We've talked to lots of people, and it's not a forgettable event.
Nope. No, it's not. So this is probably the musical landscape that was created, probably the closest to what they were trying to do lyrically.
I agree.
The feeling of paranoia and everything, like, closing in on you. It's like, you know, like, listen to that shit in the dark. Dun, dun. You know, it's pretty crazy.
You know how they'll have, like,
the crazy thing is, I could be completely wrong. But
it was a good interpretation regardless.
Yeah, inshallah. We'll see.
You know how, like, you'll see those scary movies where, like, the person is, like, somewhere and then all of a sudden they, like, start playing music? Usually it's like a lullaby or something like that.
Yeah.
If this song was played, this one was scary. Sounding... Dun, dun, dun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Anyway, if that's what it is, I think that they captured it well.
Yeah, it's always them. I was listening to Noam Chomsky. He was talking about terrorism.
Yeah.
And he just went over, like, the shit that we've done to people in the last 50 years. He's like, you're saying that these Arab Muslims are terrorists? Are you fucking kidding? He didn't say it that because he's Noam Chomsky, but he just went over the list of, like, all the evil shit that we... And I'm saying we.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important for me to say we.
Yeah.
People go, oh, I never dropped a bomb over this. You're an American. So it's we. We did that shit to those people. Stop trying to... It's amazing. Like, we'll collectivize other people, but then we want to individualize ourselves when it's time to take accountability.
I wonder what, like, Nexus Media thinks when you say stuff like this. He's like, I'm from Australia, so...
Well, I mean, he's from Australia. I mean, they've got their own set of atrocities that his folks have done. That they have to, you know. But, like, as Americans, like, we fucked up the world, man. Like, we're fucking, we bully the hell out of people.
Yeah, it's so crazy because you see, like, both coming from America, because you also see people in groups going to, you know, Africa and different places and trying to get wells drilled there, and you know what I mean? Like we were, you know, the missionary groups that we were talking to, you know, trying to get kids out of, you know, sex slaves and stuff like that. So it's crazy that human beings in their nature, like, have this capacity for such evil and such good.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why the Bible is just so, like, it's to me that just the simplest and clearest explanation of human nature and the walking contradiction that all of us are. You're in the image of God, so you're going to do awesome, amazing thing. And you're born in sin, so you've got strange fruit.
Right.
Period. Like,
right.
You know, and it's interesting because in Christianity there's this whole thought process is about fruits.
Yep.
And if fruits are what you do. And, you know, Jesus says, you know, a bad tree can't bear good fruit. And he says, make the tree good, then you'll have good fruit. So it's like, yeah, there's something really wrong with us. But, you know, you've got to look at the root issue, which is you've got to change your nature has to be changed because you were born this way.
Yep.
You know? And, you know, that's what people don't understand about the whole born again concept. This is what it's about. That's what it means to be born again. Like you need a new nature so you can create different types of fruit because all of us are collectively taking part in some form of a destruction of our world. Simultaneously as we're working for the betterment of it. So it's just a crazy thing. Yeah, but Noam Chomsky is so he's such an interesting guy to listen to and just hear him talk because it's like he just when you hear like after you hear him talking you're like, well, fuck. Like there's no It's like, well, we're truly a you know. But then again it's like it's not because we're Americans. It's because we are humans with power.
Right.
We don't know how to properly distribute that power without, you know, bodying millions of people.
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
So, there you are. What do you give the song?
If that's not what the song is about, and it's about something dumb, I'm going to give it an 8. But if it's about what you just explained and stuff, then it's a 9.
It's a 9.6 for me. It's a very haunting, terrifying song for sure.
Yep.
You know, I generally don't like repetition, but I think that there is a lot of strategy and purpose.
Yeah. If you're being hunted and chased, and that's what
and there's a storm out there, they're out there, ain't no shelter, they're out looking for you. That's a pretty crazy idea.
Yikes.
Human beings, good lord. All right, Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
Stranger fruit, how it grows and grows. We all saw the shoot, but we tend to the rose.